How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne and this is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. Just want to give a huge shout out really quick to you guys for all the support on the last video. I got a ton of subs from it and it's one of my highest viewed videos this month, so I just wanted to say I appreciate it. In today's video, I've got three great topics to cover. The first one is that there's a real frame rate and graphics boost for a lot of games on the Steam Deck that I'm really excited about. Second up, I'm going to give you some recommendations from Prime Day deals because all that's going on right now. And third, I'm going to talk about a new accessory that'll give you infinite ports on your Steam Deck. So let's jump into this first news story here, which is all about a huge frame rate boost for older games on the Steam Deck. So when I play on the Steam Deck, like I play a lot of AAA games from the modern age. Like right now, I'm playing Elden Ring. I'm at the part where you invert that academy and then you go into a dungeon after and do something for Ronnie's questline. I don't know why I'm like protecting it as if it's a spoiler when like there's no story that you can really glean without 40-hour YouTube videos in Elden Ring. But yeah, that's where I am in the game. I'm making my way to the DLC point where you can actually get into that. But the real bread and butter for me, I think a lot of the time when there's not new stuff coming out in the AAA space, like in 2024 where there aren't that many big AAA games coming out, is older games. And for the most part, they all look and run really dang great if they are from like the 360 era. But if you go a little bit older than that and you're trying to install native PC ports and everything like that, you can run into some graphical issues. But there's a new change to DXVK that's going to make these games run and look a lot better. But there's a new change to DXVK that's going to improve performance in these older games by a wide margin. So if you don't know what DXVK is, and I'm going to be real, I didn't really know what it was or like how it worked before I researched it for this video. Like I was aware of it because I've seen it being a PC gamer for so long, but yeah, this is going to be a very surface level, basic explanation of what it is. It's essentially like a translation layer for Proton to run games that are using DirectX 9 through 11. So games from the Xbox original or like PS2 era of gaming, not the like 360 sort of bigger 3D era of gaming, you know, like stuff like Max Payne, Max Payne 2, and Grand Theft Auto 3. All three of those games have gotten massive performance upgrades on the Steam Deck by using this new upgraded version of DXVK, which is awesome. So basically what Proton does is it uses DXVK to translate the way these games run over to Vulkan, which is the API that the Steam Deck uses. So that's why you're seeing the big performance improvements. I genuinely think this is really cool because there's a lot of these games that I didn't get to play because I was too young. I mean, the three I just mentioned, out of those three, Max Payne and Max Payne 2, I experienced those a lot later because I actually discovered the Max Payne franchise through Max Payne 3, which I know is a completely different game than the first two because Remedy made Max Payne 1 and 2 and then Rockstar made Max Payne 3, but playing Max Payne 3 got me into the franchise and got me excited to go back and play those old games. And I actually installed the first two Max Paynes on my Steam Deck, and while performance was really good, it obviously could have been a little bit better. So I'm hoping that all of these translations result in those games working better on the Steam Deck, and it seems like that's already happening. And the timing couldn't be better because there's a ton of classic games coming out on PC again, but like in modern forms where you can actually install them on your new PCs. Recently on GOG, they released the original director's cut of Resident Evil, like the OG game, not the remake that they did for GameCube and then HDified and ported over to other consoles. So if you buy that in a bundle, they're releasing Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Vengeance later this year. And already those games look and run really good if you use EmuDeck and run them as PS1 games, but getting native PC ports opens up extra settings, extra filters, and everything like that. And it is awesome to know that you can natively run these games on your Steam Deck. And the cool thing about GOG is when you buy those games, they're DRM free. They don't have the license checking and everything like that on Steam. So like if you download them to your Steam Deck, install them as a non-Steam game, you can then use the tools that come along with EmuDeck to capture art and everything like that, and it'll look like it's a Steam game in your SteamOS desktop. It's awesome. I don't think about this a lot, but I think a huge reason why the Steam Deck is so awesome is because there's so much community support in the background. Like Valve uses tools for Proton that are developed by the community, and even with something like regular Proton, you have other options like Proton GE that'll give you even more features that Valve can't access because either they can't license them or other legal and business reasons that I don't genuinely know. There's a lot of reasons related to what I just mentioned why Proton GE has access to features that Valve doesn't when they're making the regular fork of Proton. So yeah, I think the Steam Deck is a great tool for playing retro games, and if you're someone who's my age or a little bit younger, I'm sure you're in the same situation as me where you missed a lot of these games growing up. Like I played the Resident Evil original game remake when it came to PS4 back in the day, and then I bought it on PC. That PC port isn't that that great. Like it runs best at 30 FPS for some reason, and if you try to run it at 60, everything kind of falls apart. But there is a lot of charm going back and playing the original PS1 versions. Like I was honestly shocked last October when I was playing Resident Evil 2, the original version on my Steam Deck, how I was able to just make my way through the game with all the knowledge I had of the remake. I was surprised because when the remake came out, so many people complained about how much was changed from the original game. And while yes, it is a little bit shorter when you're talking about the remake, and playing the Leon and Claire sequences back to back, obviously they're a little bit more similar than the original game. A lot of the puzzles, a lot of the map layout of the actual RPD and everything else you go explore in Raccoon City, it's close enough where my map knowledge from the remake actually carried me through the game, and I never needed a guide once for the entire game. And that was crazy because that game has always been so daunting to me as someone who missed out on pretty much the entire PS1 generation growing up. So yeah, the Steam Deck is providing me a way to modernize old games in a really cool way, and it's just something I appreciate. So I figured I'd use this story about older games running better to kind of talk about one reason that I love the Steam Deck. So hopefully you're still watching. And that brings us to the second news story, which is about these Prime Day deals that are going on right now. Like I remember the first Prime Day and how Amazon hyped it up, and then it was just a bunch of garbage. And thankfully it seems like over the years the sales have gotten a little bit better on items you'd actually want, not just the crap that gets drop shipped by people on TikTok. And this year there are some pretty decent deals, and these are deals that you're going to want to take advantage of if you took advantage of the sale that's going on the 64 gigabyte Steam Deck, because you're very quickly going to realize that you need more storage with that 64 gigabyte Steam Deck that you just picked up for $296. So right now you can get the SanDisk Extreme 1TB micro SD card that I have used since actually before the Steam Deck came out, because I was able to get mine a little bit early. And I've transferred it between the original Steam Deck that I had, the RMA'd one, the second Steam Deck I got because my order came up officially through Valve and I decided to grab the one that I had pre-ordered. I put it in my Steam Deck OLED and it is still working as it did the day I got it. So it's normally $120, but right now you can get it for $97. And if you save that money and got the $296 64 gigabyte Steam Deck, you can feel good that you're only spending $100 on a micro SD card. And this is great for people who don't want to take apart their Steam Deck and upgrade the SSD themselves. It's kind of like an essential add-on for at least the 64 gigabyte model, if you're asking me. But if you are feeling like you need a little bit of a tech challenge, it's not really a challenge at all. All you do is just take off the screws on the back of the Steam Deck, disconnect the battery, replace the SSD, and then flash the OS to it, and it takes about an hour. But if you want to do that because you're feeling like 64 gigabytes of the slower storage that they use is not enough, you can get 2230 drives from actual brands now, and they're on sale, which is great because when I bought my 1TB 2230 drive, it was a used one from an abandoned Microsoft Surface. So things have come a long way there. So if you want to upgrade to 1TB of storage, you can save $20 on the WD Black 1TB 2230 drive. Normally it's $130, but right now it's on sale for $20 off at $110. But if you've got a little bit of extra money, I would personally spring for the 2TB drive because it's on sale right now for $190, but normally it costs $240. So the savings is much bigger there. You're saving an extra $20 over the savings on the 1TB drive. And I have 2TB in my Steam Deck. I have a 1TB SSD. I have a 1TB micro SD card. I don't want to be crazy, but I don't think it's enough. Like I still have to delete games a lot of the time, especially when I bounce between Forza Horizon 4 and 5. Both of those games are like almost 200 gigabytes. So if you only have a 1TB drive in your Steam Deck, that's almost half of the drive taken up just by 2 games. And every game now, if you're playing AAA stuff, like even Elden Ring, that game's like 90 gigabytes. So while it seems a little bit crazy to have 2 terabytes of storage in your Steam Deck between the SSD and the micro SD card, you can never really have too much storage. And if you combine this with the deal on the micro SD card, you are doubling the price of the Steam Deck that you just bought, which is honestly crazy. But having 3 terabytes sounds awesome, split between 2 terabytes on the SSD and 1 terabyte on the micro SD. At that point, I think you're pretty safe on running out of storage unless you're playing like massive AAA games or you're addicted to downloading mods for Fallout 4, you know? And finally, if you just got a Steam Deck, you should just grab these even though the savings isn't that big because they are so cheap, and in my opinion they're pretty essential. Basically what they are is little L-shaped adapters, and on one end you have the female end of a USB-C connector, and then on the other end you have the male end. I don't really know a better way to describe that. So basically what it does is make it so instead of putting your cord in your Steam Deck through the top and then it hangs off the back and it'll hit the back of your hands, it actually gives you like an L-shaped connector so it can go straight off the back. And I use this in bed when I'm playing all the time because it keeps the cord away from my right hand, which is super annoying when I'm playing Elden Ring and I'm getting my ass stopped by this dude who's like right after the Inverted Academy. He's like this massive fat guy who shoots black fire at you. If you might have gotten stuck on him too, but like, man, I don't want to say how many times I died because my finger accidentally wrapped around the charging cord that was hanging off the side of my bed. So yeah, I went downstairs down here in my basement, I grabbed my little L-shaped adapter and it fixed everything for me. So these things are normally $9.99, so you get 2 of them for $10, but right now because of Prime Day they are on sale for $8.99. So I guess you save sales tax really, but it's not that big of a savings. It's not really that expensive of a product. I just think if you have a Steam Deck or you just got one, you should just grab these because they make your experience a little more convenient, which is great. There are also a few other deals going on. I saw the JSOX docks are all on sale. I can't believe I'm saying this, but like I have had far less problems with the JSOX docks than the official Steam Deck dock. It really pains me to say it because I was super excited for the Steam Deck dock, but like they screwed something up last year when they released the Steam Deck OLED and they released SteamOS 3.5 with it. When they released that, it screwed up the dock. I was using it as my main USB-C hub for the longest time. So I had my monitor, my keyboard, my mouse, my soundbar, even my audio equipment was all plugged into that Steam Deck dock. It was taking it like a champ. It never really had any issues. Then that update came out and it stopped working with my Steam Deck correctly, which sucked, but it also stopped working with my main gaming PC. So I had to drop a bunch of money on this Razer dock because I wanted all my stuff to match on my desk and I was willing to pay more for it. But yeah, I would recommend maybe looking through the JSOX docks, seeing if any of those are at a cheap enough price for you, because even though I don't really play the Steam Deck docked, it is good to have a dock available if you're going to go into desktop mode, because while the touchpads have been massively improved since the thing came out, they're by no means an effective replacement for just a regular old keyboard and mouse. I used that setup when I was trying to install Gears of War's 2007 PC port. I was not successful, but it was a lot easier with the keyboard and mouse. So yeah, I'd recommend checking out some of those JSOX docks because I've been using those since the Steam Deck came out and personally, no issues. But that brings us to the third news story here today, which is all about an accessory from Sabrent that I honestly think is pretty cool. So if you got a Steam Deck, you probably realized pretty quickly that you're pretty limited by the fact that it only has one USB-C port. And if you go to install EmuDeck and you're using the desktop mode, it is just worth it, again, like I said in the last story, to have a dock because then you get extra USB-C ports. But this new attachment from Sabrent is basically like a mobile dock that clips onto the back of your Steam Deck and gives you not only a new USB-C port that can take 100 watts of power, but it also gives you 2 USB 3 ports so you can plug in a keyboard and mouse. If you are someone who likes to use the Steam Deck on the go and you bring around a little micro keyboard and a little mouse that you keep in your backpack and they're wired, this would be a great attachment. But I do think it's really cool that it gives you the ability to charge and use your Steam Deck and use USB accessories at the same time. I was actually just kicking around a video. I was actually just doing research for a video I've been kicking around where I wanted to see if racing wheels like my G923 will work on the Steam Deck for games like Assetto Corsa, Automobilista 2, and Dirt Rally 2.0. It seems like they do, but the roadblock I hit pretty quickly is that I only have one USB-C port, so I was like, I'm gonna have to have the dock hanging off the back. And then I found this accessory from Sabrent, which only costs $30 and gives you a clip-on dock that makes the thing stay portable, but also gives you pretty much the same ports as some of these other docks that will hang off your Steam Deck when you're using it. So honestly, I think it might be worth a pickup. I'm gonna grab one. It's very specifically tailored to the use case that I need it for, but yeah, I like looking at new Steam Deck accessories, and Sabrent, they have been around for a while. I have like full trust in them because unlike me, a lot of people were able to get drives from Sabrent pretty quickly after the Steam Deck came out, and I haven't heard anything about those failing in the past few months. And I check the Steam Deck Reddit and Steam Deck Twitter sphere every day, and I haven't seen people complaining. So it's not something that you're going to buy on Amazon and then it'll break like 3 days later. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.